general race. Now I'm going to go in and show you how you add multiple races to one campaign. So this would be a situation where a person started off in the primary and they graduated to either a runoff or a general election. But for this instance, I'm going to start off with the general election that we set up as our test election, and I'm going to add a runoff. So we'll say that our two candidates tied. Typically this won't happen, but this is just how you would do it. So we're going to go back into our campaigns table. And usually your runoffs don't follow immediately in the next election. They have to set a special election and it has to be assigned. So it might be 2 or 3 months before you see a runoff. Or for sure, there's big distances between a primary and a general election. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you around how to do some quick searching in case you need to find a campaign from a while ago. You can either search their name right here. This will search the first and last name and return, and it searches the name value and it will return something. So if I put in Fancy right here, it would bring up Fancy Rogers. Go ahead and eliminate that. Okay, and then over here you have some filters. You can filter by party, whether or not they're an incumbent, and the position they're running for. So if I wanted state representative, and I wanted all of them that were Democrats, this would be a list of every single campaign that is running for a state representative position anywhere. So what we want to do is take Fancy Rogers, and let's say that she tied with somebody, and so she's going to go on to a runoff, and we know when the runoff is, and we're going to go ahead and get her put in place. So we have the runoff race right here. So I'm just going to go ahead, and if I drop this down, you'll notice that this only has runoff races in it. There's not that many runoffs that take place. These two down here, Norman City Council and Norman City Council Ward 7, those were instances in which there were 4 or 5 candidates and nobody got the minimum necessary to be the only winner. So what we're going to do for Fancy here is we're going to pop open that little green plus sign right there to add a new runoff race, because remember, we only made the general race. We have to make a runoff version of this race. Okay, so we're going to pick runoff, and then we're going to pick the master, which is State Representative District 115. And this is where you really understand what the race meta and race master is all about. It's the instance of the office and the year. It's a combination of those unique features so that you can connect all of these races together under one general heading. So general race, runoff race, primary race, you can have 3 races. They're all connected to the same race master. Election, I'm going to choose 7-9, even though that was the one that we just used. Otherwise, I'd have to create a new election right here. But this will be, again, whatever is the date of the election. Result and question status are left alone. Now we have State Representative District 115 runoff. Pretty simple. We would save this, it would spin, and then we would go to our other candidates and we would add them. We would add their runoff race just by going and finding this in our list and selecting it. And that is how you add a runoff. Now, a primary is going to be a little bit different because you need to be able to indicate what kind of primary it is. And that will look very much the same as all the other race. You have type, master, election, result, all of that. But there will be another field in here that needs to be added in, and you'll see it. And I'll show you where it is in the other admin in a moment. But there will be another field that's called primary party type or race party type. And that is because most primaries are typically Republican primaries or Democratic primaries. So if you're adding a primary information in, and even a runoff that derives from a primary, you're going to want to make sure that you select the primary type. And I'm going to show you what that field looks like on another screen that has it already set up. But you could expect that to be on the race screen the next time. And let me get out of campaigns and go to races. And there it is, type party. So it's just what type of race is it? It's a runoff. What's the party? It's Democrat. And then there you go. And that's how you do it. So anytime that you have a party designation on a race, you need to make sure that type party is indicated. And that's how you add multiple instances, multiple races to one office pursuit in one election cycle. And I hope that made sense. If it didn't, just go over it multiple times, and you'll begin to understand how they all connect. The next one will be going into how to actually edit individual pieces once they've already been entered into the system, and then additionally how to delete things that have been entered into the system.